This is oddly coherent for a Power Rangers plot. Welcome to Ranger Reviews, a web series we look at episodes of the TV show Power Rangers and then discuss them. Today we're exploring the 44th episode of the show Power Rangers Zeo, as well as the 199th episode overall, titled A Brief Mystery of Time. We begin this episode at school where some kid is rollerblading in the hallway and Miss Rodriguez runs after him. She bumps into Tommy and Kat, knocking Kat's books down. Then Jason and Rocky come up talking about how they have a big test coming up. They say that they're going to the beach club after school to get Emily's new shaved ice. Also, some kid in a locker next to them drops his books out of his locker. Miss Appleby then gives out a test and Rocky has forgotten his pencil. She gives him one. Then we see that Tanya and Adam are at the youth center and there's a super cute moment between them where Adam is actually explaining how yellow isn't as cool as green. Also, Tanya says shut up jokingly, which I'm pretty sure is like the only time those two words are ever said together in Power Rangers history. The other Rangers come up and Jason talks about how tough that test was. Probably because you haven't been in Miss Appleby's class in like 3 years, dude. Apparently, Tanya and Adam took this same test last week. What? Bulk and Skull come in and they order 2 sodas and chili, and they try to talk about how they spent the day undercover, and Skull is shaking Bulk's soda because he made him pay. Bulk opens it, getting sprayed. Then Gasket is in space watching this, talking about how his plan is falling into place. The Chronosapius is on Earth for him, which is a new device of his, and he's going to send down a fleet. Meanwhile, Sprocket, Orbis, and Clank with Cog show up behind bushes on Earth, talking about how they're going to kill the Rangers first. We see the exact same opening scene with the rollerblading kid and Miss Rodriguez. Then Tommy just starts to say and do everything before anyone else says anything. Jason asks him how he knew what he was going to do. Tommy even knows about the shaved ice. Then Tommy catches his kid's books from flying out of his locker before they can fall out. Miss Appleby hands out the test again and Tommy is super confused, and Rocky is about to ask for a pencil and Tommy just gives him a spare and Miss Appleby begins the test. In the park, Tommy explains how he knows everything that's happening like deja vu to Jason, Kat, and Rocky. Then Cogs show up behind the bushes nearby, and it's morphin' time. The Rangers start fighting off the Cogs pretty easily. Then Gasket sees what's happened, and he's mad that Sprocket has interfered with his plan. At the park, Sprocket figures out that his ambush isn't working too well, and also the Cogs just disappear. Tommy is super confused. At the youth center, Adam and Tanya are wondering why everyone else is late, and then they end up telling them about the Cogs. Then Bulk and Skull are paying for their food and drinks. Then Tommy says that Bulk is about to get sprayed in the face with soda, and Rocky points out that that type of stuff happens literally every day. I mean, fair point. Now we're back to the damn hallway with the rollerblader. Kat drops her stuff and Tommy freaks out right away. They're literally using the exact same footage from before. Like the exact same footage. This is our Japanese footage for this episode, I guess. I mean, Tommy just gets the books again. Back in the park, Tommy explains again how he's aware of what's going on. He mentions how they're going to get attacked by Cogs soon, and Jason points out it's been quiet all day. Rocky, Kat, and Jason go and look, and they find Cogs waiting to ambush them. They're confused as to why they're trying to repeat time over and over again, so they just teleport out, saying that Adam and Tanya should meet them there. Also, Sprocket and Clank are beginning to feel like they're living the same thing over and over again. Then Alpha says hello to everyone, asking if they're just passing time. Tommy explains what's going on, and Kat explains how only Tommy's able to detect it. Zordon explains that Tommy might be able to detect stuff from Gasket because he was recently messed with in his head by Gasket. They do a brain scan, which is kind of hilarious looking, but yeah, that's exactly what it is. They then do another scan and they find the Chronosapius in the park. They also see through the time hole that the Machine Empire are coming to Earth. They say that the machines are coming and they're taking their time to get to Earth, so they pause time so they could surprise the Rangers when they finally did arrive. It's morphin' time! All 6 land in the park by the Chronosapius approaching it. Gasket sees this and sends down a monster, Protectron. Protectron then fires at them just as they're about to touch the globe, and they talk some smack before the Rangers fight him. The Rangers aren't doing so well against this guy, getting the crap beat out of them. Archerina laments how if they shatter the globe, then the time loop will just cease. They have to stop them. Then Cogs and Sprocket show up, and Sprocket decides to help out his older brother by sending the Cogs forward. Then Archerina and Gasket appear, and Archerina starts firing arrows at them. Gasket then rushes forward, taking on the others while Tommy is fighting the monster, attempting to get to the Chronosapios. Then Tommy just jumps into the air, firing his laser pistol at Protectron, knocking him down. Then Tommy just karate chops the crystal ball, blowing it up. Clank and Orbis come up and they suggest that they turn Protectron giant, which they do. Jason is dealing with Gasket still, so the others call out their Super Zeozords, forming the Super Zeo Megazord. They then get hit all at once by Protectron before they take out their dual sabers, hitting him, but then Protectron somehow reverses time, I think to hurt them? I don't know, it doesn't matter. They call it the Warrior Wheel, using its finishing move to blow up Protectron. RIP, monster who lived for like a solid 5 minutes. Gasket, Archerina, and Sprocket then all retreat, and Jason's pretty mad that they left. Meanwhile, in an industrial site, Sprocket and Gasket are arguing, and Machina is so happy that her sons are fighting, I guess. Everyone's at the youth center and they talk about how time is back to normal now, and then Tommy gets a deja vu again. Then Bulk's soda blows up in his face and he pours it on Skull's head. Then the Rangers talk about how some things are just timeless. The end. This is actually like a surprisingly decent episode with a good plan from Gasket. I'm actually surprised how good Gasket's plans have been because well, every other villain's plans have just really sucked. They're trying to just disorient and separate the Rangers from each other, taking them out one by one, and it's a good tactic. Honestly, if Tommy hadn't endured the brainwashing the last 2 episodes, they probably would have won this time around. So next time is a milestone for the show, the 200th episode. How will that be celebrated? Find out next time, but until then, may the power protect you.